All right, good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone doing today? We'll start with crude. Basically, I just want to run through the main four markets that we're following and trading in the trading room, and just kind of give you an overview of the higher time frames and what we can expect for next week, and kind of where we're at as far as the LA wave counts and whatnot. Let's see. Hang on one second. Friday was the 14th. Yeah, okay, so we had put in the high. Right, we had put in the high Friday. I was talking about this had completed a pretty much a perfect 5 up from the low. And I guess the issue is you can count it as a zigzag up here. Let me do this a little differently here. Let's start off with the weekly. So I had been saying that we were likely to come up into 60 for the final fourth wave high and then come down. Before making this low here, which was so perfectly on this trend channel, let me show you from high to high. We came in perfectly and found support right here. As we were coming down to that, I had been counting this as a complete correction up from the low. This is clearly an ABC up for the first ABC, for the first wave up. And then I was counting this as an X wave here. And then A, B, C for a Y wave. So I had been thinking all this time that this was the high and that this was somehow a wave 2 and we were going to be coming down, you know, really strong down below this low. Okay, so it all makes sense that we make a new low to complete this larger overall pattern here. This is the non-back adjusted price, so that's showing you the true high at 148 and then down to 33 here. So that's an obvious strong A wave down, B back up, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've been looking for the end of 4 down, 4 back up. All right, so I had been counting this as wave 4. Typically wave 4 will come back into the or near the end of the fourth wave of one lesser degree. Right, that's Elliott wave. So typical move of a fourth wave of one larger degree is to come back near the end of the fourth wave of one lesser degree. Well, we came back to within the midpoint of this. If this is the fourth wave, we came back above the midpoint here, but not near the end. And that's just a guideline. It's not a rule, so it doesn't happen every time. So what I was thinking was, well, maybe I've kind of counted this wrong, and this is just a B, and we're doing a kind of ending diagonal up into 60. So I've been looking at this last push up here out of the low here, thinking that, okay, well, then maybe this is potentially a move on up to 60 and past this high. And then that will be the end of wave 4, and then we'll come on down. But the way it's looking right now, with the size of this push down out of that report that we had on Wednesday, it's been, you know, it's 53 to almost 49. That's almost 400 ticks down since Wednesday. It's looking more and more like this is actually the start of wave 1 down. And that was 2 back up. Okay, so we're going to look into that wave just a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on just one market, but that correction back up, if that is what that is, it can trace out a nice zigzag. And let me show you that now. I've got a feeling I'm going to spend too long on this, but I think it's worth it. So that would be 1, 2. Yeah, that's the real question. Is this a correction back up or an impulse back up? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For an ending diagonal there. And that would be an A, little b, and C. And that would be a zigzag up. And looking at this, it makes more sense to me that this is, in fact, what is occurring, because I was trying to finagle this. This was the bombing that we had in Syria, this push up here. I was trying to finagle it and make it work as if this were 5 waves up for a larger C wave, as if this were A, B, C. But it's looking more and more and more like this is the end of a big correction, and now we're going to be going down for that giant 5-wave move down to below 30 over the next several months, few months. And it's already kicked off a pretty nice impulsive move to the downside. This is not looking very corrective to me at this point. So the areas that we're at right now, however, are pretty nice. So this is a 240-minute chart. I'm just connecting from the major low before this high down to this low. And that is the kiss goodbye line that's coming in right there. It's the median line connected from the high here to the high there. The high here to the high there, and then to this low. That's the median line. And then below that, we have the median line from way back. Let me see if I connect it even further if we're not at that one right now. So that's the ultimate low. Yep, we're actually kind of through that one. And if I adjust to this low, well, then look at all that coming together. So if this thing is going to stop and turn back up, I imagine it would do so from right here. All right, so you've got that. And then if you look at this hourly chart, I'm just connecting the low right after the high to the sell-off low from Wednesday, from the report. This was the high of the report right there. And we've come down and hit that perfectly on just a huge amount of volume. So we've got a really massive volume divergence there on the hourly. And it looks to me like we have put in a low. Is that going to be the final low and we're going to go back up, or is it just going to be an intermediate low and we're only going to correct back up? That I'm not really sure about, but it does look like we have, as ugly as all of this is down, does look to me like we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. We'll make one more slightly lower low. So it's looking pretty good for a swing low right here. 1 through 3 back to 4 gives us a target of 5 for 49.13. And this is the back adjusted chart. And then 5 is equal to 138.2 of 1, which is a common relationship when you have an extended fifth wave. So those two are lining up right there. So either the low is in, or we're going to come back down and test this low and then put in a major low. And that could be, an intermediate low, maybe retracing back above this high and then going back further. But either way you look at it, this is a major area right here that you would expect a swing low to be put in there. Okay. And then once again, this could be, it's difficult. Either this is an ABC back up, which counts very well like that, as this last part does look like an ending diagonal, or it's a big A and this is a B. And then we go up for C up into 58, 59, maybe as high as 60. So that's what we're dealing with here. It's an incredibly strong, fierce move down into this area, but we are at a pretty serious area. So, all right, now for gold. We were looking at this as potentially being a major high last week. I was saying, okay, Sunday night we'll go up into that high, test the area, and then we should get at least one big down day out of this swing high. Well, we did that. We gapped up actually Sunday night. So this is the daily chart on the right, the weekly chart on the left. I had been thinking that gold was going to be moving back into about 1,500 over the coming months before putting in that big corrective B wave high and then coming back down below 1,000. Potentially coming back into the 2008 and 9 swings in here. But the end of that B wave back up might have ended here on just a shallow little 38.2% retracement. And this might be the first wave down and wave 2 back up. So this was a pretty incredible area that we were talking about last week. It's the downtrend line from way back on this weekly chart. We've hit that. We've got a lot of density, very high volume per range on this week. And we've been kind of hovering up around here all week. And right now, we have what could potentially be, well, earlier, about an hour and a half ago, we had what could potentially be the end of this correction. So this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2. Because look at this sideways move here. I don't know about you, but that looks very corrective to me. And it traces out a perfect channel here on the tick chart. And what else is it? On the minute chart, it is the downtrend line quite perfectly. And as well on the tick chart. You see that? So that is your perfect little area there, which we were talking about before we closed the room down, and then it came right up and hit perfectly. So I'm thinking we'll probably get a push down out of this and then a bit deeper correction, which could bring us down into this 1269 area. Excuse me, next week. So that would be down into here. Okay, but right now we found support on the closest channel that we have here. So this is the tightest, smallest channel that we have on the 240-minute chart. And so far we found support on that on the 19th. So the 19th, we had a huge amount of volume go straight down into that, stop on a dime, and then turn up. But the move back up has been nasty sideways overlapping and now tracing out a perfect channel, which you just saw on the tick chart, and you can see right here on the hourly. So that is a pretty awesome look for a short right there. And you had some volume come in at that high. So I would really think that, you know, maybe this move down here is not necessarily a 1-2, 1-2, but maybe it's just an A, and that's a B. And now we could come 5 waves down for C. And that could bring us, you know, to 70 or even lower. Yeah. Okay, so that's gold. And NASDAQ and the ES, they've been, so this push down out of the highs here, it never would come down to the bottom of the channel. So it seemed to be in a kind of a strong position at this low. But then the move up and out of this is looking like it's tracing out a double three, like it's corrected back up. So when you look at the daily charts and the weekly charts, we found support on this last little channel. This was the one that I was kind of afraid of finding support on and then going back up into a new high before we actually broke the swing low here. So this could be the 5 waves up of wave 3. And maybe that's all that we got right there for wave 4. Let's push down. It looks like a little wedge coming down. So it's almost like a leading diagonal for wave 4. So in hindsight, you would be able to count that as the end of wave 4, but it counts much better as an A wave down as far as I'm concerned, and this would be much better a B wave if it would make one more high Sunday night or Monday morning, throughout Monday maybe, up into about 54.66. Okay, and the reason I'm thinking that is this push up right here. If that's not, you know, a picture perfect ABC, then I don't know what is. It's exactly, C wave is exactly 100% the size of wave A. It's exactly symmetrical. It's perfectly symmetrical. Came right up to the top of the channel, right where the 100% line intersects it, right at the 61.8 of this correction. And then we do an X wave right back down to the trend line. And that's why I think that is an X wave, because it looks so much like your typical X wave that divides 2 ABC patterns. And now we have another AB. So we were looking for this to put in a low, which it did, and looking for another push up, which would be the end of a C wave. And that whole thing would be a double 3. And that's why I think this is a correction back up. So that would mean that this is all A wave down and B wave back up of a flat. And then we would look for 5 strong waves down to below 5,300. And that's over 500 ticks away. So if we can get one more good push Sunday night, Monday, maybe linger around here into Tuesday, but probably not, probably just into Monday. And then likely put in a strong swing high here. So the area that I have above that for a potential high up in here is really closer to 80. So I would prefer to see it make it on up to about 80 and then come down. And the reason I think that is because I think this is a flat for one thing. So a flat would come back near the starting point of A, and that's at 54.81. So it would look like a double top. I don't typically ever look for double tops or expect double tops, but in this case, this is a potential flat, and that's what they do. So, and this is the area that I would be looking for. Why? Because that channel line, so it's this area that I'm talking about. Let me delete this one. Well, let's do this. I'll just hide everything and then draw a new one. So we found support on this channel line here, and I would like to go up and tag that upper median line up there. Finish that double 3 up, put in the high, and then come on down below this low, and preferably that low as well. And then for the ES, it's about kind of the same thing, really, except we likely won't make it up nearly as high. Yep, so A, B, C, X, A, B, C. Not really quite sure where the area would be in the ES. I don't spend nearly as much time with the ES, but probably up back to the top of this channel. And then maybe we have a trend line coming down right in there. Let's say from here. So that would be the spot I'd be looking for in the ES. Looks like about 2365. All right, so those are the US equities. And all right, good. Wonderful. So I guess I'll just show you this. So I bought the euro on a higher low here with a 7-tick risk on it because we had, well, let me show you the bigger charts. What is that? 2. So this was the major area here. And a couple of different ways of looking at this. I've got 4 minutes to think about closing this. I'm going to hold it over the weekend. I think it's going to go up a little higher. A couple of different ways of looking at this. So I had been seeing this as, well, I still do. Actually, I might close this. See, I was hoping to get on up to this median line, at which point I would potentially stop and reverse. 1 second. So we were talking about this in the trading room today, how this could be 1, 2, 3, 4 at this low where I bought. And I ended up buying that on a higher low because it's either way, this was looking like a very strong low. All right. Either it's going to go up and make a lower high. So either way, it was going to move back up as far as I was concerned out of the areas that we had there. The only problem I have with it is knowing, is it going to go up to a new high, to a fifth wave high, and that's going to be wave 1 up, or is this going to make a lower high and this is a wave 1 down? So, all right, any second now. What's going on here? I think I've got too many days back on this one. So that's my issue with that. Is it going to go up into a new high? Well, I hadn't planned on holding it for a new high, so I'm really happy with what I've got here.
Order pending. Order filled. Order canceled.
All right, 1 minute before the close. Whew. So that was a nice little push up. I wish I would have gotten more, but I bought it right here. Right there, you see? Big churn bar, and it lined up perfectly on a lower median line, higher low kind of a deal. And off of this area here, which is from way back, from the low here, low to low, we've been kind of riding that median line, and we pulled back to it here. So looking like it's cruising up. So basically what I'm wanting to do, so the two different counts are 1, 2, which I definitely prefer because of the fact that we had been waiting for this swing high for so long, and this was a perfect 5-wave move to the upside. This looks very much like an A wave up and not an impulse. And we had been looking for this since this low was made. And it lined up perfectly. You've got the perfect downtrend line. It came right back right to the top of the channel. And I don't think this 5th wave down is complete yet. I think we've got 5 waves down out of this high. So we found support in here, and now we've turned up on what I think is an ABC backup. And that counts. It counts perfectly as an ABC up or as a 1, 2, 3 up. So just to go over that for a moment, this A wave is a leading diagonal. 5 waves for 1, 3 for 2, 5 waves for 3, 3 for 4, 5 waves for 5, but they're overlapping. 4 is inside of 1, so that's a leading diagonal. That's allowed for an A wave or a wave 1. This is a perfect B wave zigzag. Big A wave down, tiny little C wave. And this is a, picture perfect 5-wave move to the upside. It doesn't get really any more textbook than that. and it's a perfect 161.8. So that swing high was about as obvious and as perfect as you could expect or ever hope to get. And this push down, however, is a little... No, it's not. It looks very much like a wave one down. It looks very much like 5 waves down. So you look at this. That's a 5-wave move to the downside. I really don't think this is a correction back down. The strength of this push up would have me a little bit worried though. But what you would expect after something like this is to just go completely sideways for Sunday and Monday morning, and then to get that C wave back up, which might even retrace, 80%. This wave too, if that's what it is, which I think it is, retraced almost 90-something%. And then you've got 5 waves down for 3, big, nice 3 waves up for 4, and then a nice 5-wave move for the last. This is what I have a problem with, is this last part down here. But that's trying to count it on a faster time frame, which is definitely frowned upon in Elliott wave theory. Let me just think for a minute. It's a pretty strong push back up, isn't it? For now. Yeah, I have to treat it like 1, 2. And I have to assume that we're going to be going down to a new low. So I'll be looking to trade this short when it sets up on Tuesday or Monday. Probably Monday. So that's what I'll be looking for here. I would have liked it a lot better if it would have broken back inside of this. See, it just barely came down and came to within this, what could be a 1. Let's do that in blue. What could be a 1, 2, 3, 4. If it would have come down inside of that and then given us a big push back up, then I would, feel a lot more certain that this was going to stop short of the high, do a lower high, and then come on down. But the way it's looking now, this is still very possible. And that would be 1 up. All right. So we did not come back inside of wave 1. What I think is wave A. All right. So that's what we're looking at for the euro. Any questions about any of that? Let me see. I got a couple of questions here. The French election, yeah. Yeah, right. Thanks. Any other questions? Yeah, who knows what's going to happen Sunday night. I'm sure they'll use it as an excuse to send it crazy back and forth. Yeah, I'm just playing around with the bar colors. We're updating the volume, so I'm trying to get it the way I want to finalize it. So I imagine we'll break that high, at least the 61.8 in that median line. I'm afraid the election's going to throw it all crazy. But, you know, we might get some kind of a who knows what, and then right up into that. And that would be the spot to short. That would be at least one spot. Pretty much 70, 78 and above. So right in here and up. And hopefully this draws out, goes sideways, maybe even it comes all the way back down to make a double bottom or a slightly lower low. I would prefer if it would break down below this low and do an expanded flat up into that wave 2. That's what I would prefer. I would like to see a big A wave and then a nasty B wave that comes down below the low and then right back up, 5 waves up, psych everybody into going long out of that election, and then straight down. So what if she gets elected? Then they're going to say France is going to hope to back out of the euro or whatever, and the euro is going to crash. Dollar's going to keep going into the giant bull market that it's been in, and then maybe we get the big, just speculating, but what else are you going to do? Then we get the big finish for finally reaching parity between the dollar and the euro, which is what I've had mapped out here for so long. And then that would be our complete giant C wave down, out of which we have the biggest bull market that we've ever seen in the euro and big bear market in the dollar. So it's all looking just right for that to finally happen. Finally come on down and get to parity. And that's looking like maybe even below parity. So I would expect to make it back to this trend line. Low to low, we put in the low here. We've been sideways triangle. Triangle is always the wave before the final wave. It's always the penultimate wave. And I would expect to make it down to this trend line, which is at 98.59 currently. Maybe by the time we get there, it'll be 98 even. So down to parity and lower is what I want to see. Maybe even down to 96.8. Yeah. All right. So any questions? Yeah, it might. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Go straight down. All right, everybody, I'm going to shut it down. Everybody have a great weekend. Oh, here, I'm sorry. I forgot the chat, the HIP chat. Am I still going to overlay relative volume on top of density? Yeah, you'll have an option. The relative density is what the churn conditions are made of. And then we're going to have high density climax or low density climax. So we're going to make it a bit more fine-tuned. I hope Le Pen wins. I think Obama's over there trying to doing some election tampering, like they all accuse the Russians of. He's over there now. See how that goes. It's funny, we can do it, but nobody else can, right? Especially not the Russians, those shady Russians. Better watch out, the Russians will get you. Can I zoom out so I can see my ABC on the weekly? Yeah. Right there. It's kind of messy. Let me hide all that. It depends on what you want to do with this. You can say this is A and that's B. You can say this is A and that's B. But this is looking very much like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is kind of rough in here, but that is a triangle for sure. Anyway, this is the chart we've been working with for a few years now. Or I've been. Anybody that does Elliott Wave has. So pretty amazing trend. It's interesting, isn't it, the way the markets move? Fascinating stuff. Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you guys in the trading room on Monday, and then I'll talk to the rest of you next Friday. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.